Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. So today we've got the Boss GT-1000 guitar effects processor. Probably the last one you're ever going to need to buy for years. Now, I've played with a few guitar processors over the last few years. I usually use pedals, but you know, pedals get to the point where you have a whole whack load of them. They take up a lot of space. By the time you pack them up even for a gig, right? Yeah, it's a lot of stuff to carry. And now I'm not a professional touring musician and I don't go gigging everywhere. I do get involved with a few groups. I'm involved locally in my town with a group of guitar players. We get together once a month, sometimes twice. For that I usually bring my acoustic. But we do have one guy who brings his electric with him and a bass player. Anyways, I do play at church, and I'm currently playing on two different worship teams. And the main worship team that I've been playing on the most, because I just started with the second one not that long ago, we've been experimenting with different effects to jazz up songs and stuff. And you know, I had limited pedals, and so I picked up the ME80. Now, I had limited pedals because I got rid of them. I'm like, I'm really not jiving the sound out of these things because I'm also not getting what I saw in a lot of YouTube videos either. And I'm not even coming close, you know, on a couple of my purchases to what it should do. If I was at least coming close, I'd be like, that'd be good, you know, because then that was money that was well spent, right? So, anyways, I made the decision. I got rid of all my pedals, except for a few choice ones like my Beat Buddy and a couple others. And then I picked up the ME80 because it has a whack load of effects in it. It's got, you know, lots of different foot switches. It's got the foot pedal as well for your audio or whammy effect, which this has too. Now, it has a limited amount of sounds, right? You know, I mean, it's got a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's got a ton, and I love the board. It does a great job. But one of the things I've been wanting to do is combine the defretter effect with an acoustic guitar effect because I'm playing electric in church. And I also wouldn't mind having some chorus in there. Now I can do defretter and chorus. I can do a few different effects all at once, which is great. But my main thing was I wanted acoustic, chorus, reverb, and defretter. So I thought, I want to try this thing out. So I talked to the guys at Long McQuaid. I said, look, can I try this out? And, you know, I'm going to review it as well, right? And, because I'm also curious, is it worth the $1,300, you know? And can it do what I need it to do, right? And it's not just about one set of effects that I want it for. It's about a lot of different effects that I want to have combos on a lot of these songs to jazz them up, right? And I'm thinking, well, you know, the ME80 was only like 400 and change, and we're talking Canadian dollars. And the GT-1000 is like 1,300 Canadian. It's like, and it is the newest model out from Boss. Apparently it came out in April 2018 from my research. And I thought, well, okay, looks interesting enough, and, you know, so let's give this a go. Now, this thing does have a boatload of jacks on the back for, it's got two sends, two returns, it's got MIDI, it's got sub-outputs, oh god, control pedal access for other stuff. It has USB, which is great too. You can use it as a input source into your computer if you wanted to, but you also need that USB if you're going to hook into your computer to program this thing, because there's a few different ways to program, including through Bluetooth using your iOS, Android device. And those apps, from what I've been seeing on a couple of videos, are a little bit on the basic side and a little bit, they can be a little frustrating to work. So there's nothing better than hooking up to a computer system, Mac or PC. And I am running OS X Mojave on my iMac, so it's actually compatible with their software with the newest OS from Apple, which is great. And I gotta tell you, not only is it so easy to use, which I will show you in a video, but it has so many benefits to running off the computer, and it makes it so much quicker too to set everything up. Now the one thing that kind of confused me at first, because I had no experience on this board, was the fact that I thought you could just go like, you know, click number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5, or whatever combo, and they'd be active, right? And this is how you'd get your pedals, because I really hadn't seen much of anything on YouTube, because most of these videos, everything's hidden from you as far as, you know, what's active and how they're doing it. So I'm like, oh, well, you know, we'll figure this out, right? And because with the Boss ME80, I just click on each pedal, boom, 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 there's my effects, and they're comboed, you know, and so on, right? Well, it doesn't work that way with this one. With this one here, it is so much nicer, because when you're programming your stuff, your sounds that you want, everything goes into, say, one button here. Now, I'm in the user bank area, and there's 50 presets available in the user bank, and then they've got a P or preset area. But Boss does set up everything ahead of time with a whack-load of effects. And I wanted to try out a few different things, so I decided to go into the user area, because I can reset the board anyway, and do up a couple of things that I'm used to using, but with some extra, okay? And one of the key things for me that would make me personally buy this board is having the acoustic guitar, the chorus, the reverb, and the defretter. Now, it doesn't stop there. I can add in a delay, I can add in a bunch of other stuff, and that's where it really is winning me over, you know? And I'm like, this is something that is going to do everything. Because we play, let's say, about 5 to 8 songs, right, at church. And so I've got 5 here already, and it wouldn't take me much as long as I know our song order. I know which ones use what effects, and I just go boom, 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 boom. And then if I need for the last song or 2, or 3 even, I go to the bank area and I switch to the next bank, and boom, 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 and they're already programmed, and it saves me so much, you know, for hassle and stuff. And I'm getting all the effects that I want on each song, right, which is really important. So anyways, let's just stop talking now, and I'm going to show you what I've put together here. Now this is kind of like my little dream effect here for a couple of songs that we do at church, except now I have the access of having the defretter and the acoustic at the same time, which I didn't have on the Boss ME80 because it's off of the same pedal, so you can only have one effect per pedal on the ME80. So anyways, I'm plugged in my Hughes and Kettner Tubemeister 18 amp, and it's running through my Marshall 4x12. The audio you're hearing is being picked up solely by my new video camera, my new Sony, and so you're getting the straight out goods, no processing, none of that stuff. Now the guitar I'm using is actually my Gibson Les Paul Studio. It's my 2018 guitar, or 2018 Les Paul Studio. Now that's on the bridge. Now when you use an acoustic effect, one of the recommended is actually in the neck position, and generally an acoustic effect, they say it sounds best on a single coil guitar, which I tend to agree to disagree on that one. Now this is my neck pickup. Let's say it was a single coil, so I'll pull the single coil up, so I'm splitting the pickup, same neck position. And now back to the humbucker mode. Now I find it nice and bright on the humbucker side, but when you split the pickup, I find it goes very dull and very dry. It's like, blech. So let's go through the next one here. This is acoustic, guitar, reverb, and wah. Starting back at the bridge, of course. Now what I love about this, now when you go to activate the pedal for wah effect on the ME80, your volume is pushed up at the same time. So then, you know, you can't just bend over and turn your volume down to exactly where you need it. You know what I mean? It takes too much time, especially during playing on stage, right? You know, it's one thing if you're jazzing around in your house, in your room or whatever, but when you're on stage, you don't have time to figure out, oh, where's that setting? So this keeps the volume, it seems to be pretty much the same. You know, and I get my wah. So now I don't have to worry about stuff being overridden. I don't have to worry about the sound tech having to turn my monitor down or screw with the house to pull me down in the house on my fader. It's set. It's the volume that I have the pedal set at. It stays there, and then I just go into the wah. And there are a lot of different reverb effects. There's over 100 different effects and then some. And by the time you figure out your user banks, presets and user program, you have 250 different patches on each set of 50. It's like, that is insane, you know? I mean, it's just crazy. So let's try out the next one, just because I can't run the wah with my hand at the same time. This is a tube screamer and reverb. And you name your patches, whatever you want to call them. This is blues and reverb. And now we've got acoustic guitar, dual chorus. Now, when you set up your patches too, you get to go in and alter every single effect whatever way you see fit, which is really cool. So you have lots of control to just tweak everything in just for that sound you're after. Now, if you need a little bit of extra bass or treble, you want to change the patch level, gain, it's all done in through here. So I want more treble. I want to throw that bass up, okay? A little too much treble. Let's back the treble off. Gain. Okay, so let's check out another bank here. Now when you switch to the next bank, you'll notice your lights are flashing. I'm not exactly sure why that happens, but it's part of the way it is. So press number 1, 3D Jazz Chorus. this other control switch. You turn it off. Now you'll hear there's a slight tonal difference when you play with them. This is called fuzz lead. This is going to get a little obnoxious. Got lots of delay and stuff in there too. This is a Rect 57 SLPN TW. Kind of cool. Country twang. That's very ear-piercing, I find, for my taste. This is called Guitar Pad 01. That would be a nice lead-in for a song, and then you switch your patch right over to the next one you need. That would be really awesome. Let's check out one more bank. This is called Rotator. I haven't messed with these particular patches. I only programmed the first 5 in. Clean and I guess acoustic guitar mix. So if you put the pedal back. It blends in the electric guitar with the acoustic. Now you do also have an output level that controls the pedal as well. So it's like an override, so you can, pull it back more or give it extra type of thing. Burning Purple. It's kind of a neat sound. Fat Gainer. That's cool. Mild organ space. So we could keep going here like for hours and hours. It's a lot of pedal for the money. Now I'm gonna say this is not for a beginner guitar player whatsoever. Even a beginner player would have a hard time even programming this thing. And you can get bored with the presets that Boss has done. There's a lot of them you could actually get very bored with. You know, so you'd want to change the programming up. And beginner guitar players, they don't understand pedals and pedal orders, that sort of thing. And you can change the order any way you want. This is one of the features that we all streamed about in the katanas. Like Boss gave us, here's 3 different, you know, ways of doing your setups. And it's like, no, we want our way. Well, they gave us everything in this thing. We can organize the pedals any way we want. There's a boatload of effects, like a boatload, way more than what the Boss katanas come with, which is good. I mean, they've really outdone themselves. The processing of the sound quality is very, very amazing in this thing. The ease of use, just as a main layout on the board, if you're just, you know, plugging it in and screwing around with it before you get into the programming part, it's very easy, very nicely laid out. And you know, it tells you what the controls can do. And they also click in too. Like if you go to patch level, you change that up. If you push it in, now this one doesn't do anything, so you can go through and see if anything changes. I did actually find that I could get into different areas too, but you can also go into the page here and patch level. No, that doesn't do anything. No. I know a couple of them actually have done things I was messing around with when I first got it home. Let's try the menu. Hardware settings. This is where we get to play around. Knob amp control, EXP hold, ground lift, calibration, and other. And other does this. You got your Bluetooth ID and switch, turning your Bluetooth, I guess, on. Yeah, Bluetooth switch on and off. LED luminescence. You can actually have it not so bright, so it's not so piercing. LCD contrast, and so on. I've yet to go through a lot of this menu stuff to figure it out, because there is a lot to learn, but it's easy to learn. That's the really nice thing about it. It's very straightforward. So I think that, and you can have the display set up like this, it's cool. Now if you want to go back to the way things were, the only way I found so far is turn the power off, and then turn it back on. Now, here's a couple things. This pedal board does not run off of batteries, like your ME80s and other ones before it, where you could run power supply or battery. This is strictly on power supply. They do give you a really good quality brick power supply with this thing, which is good. But no batteries. And I can see why. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you know, 6 batteries would never run this display and all these lights and do all that jazz all at once for very long. You'd kill your batteries pretty quick, right? So I can understand why they took out the battery part. Just be aware, no batteries. But it does come with the power supply, which is great. There's so many ways to hook things up. You can run into dual amps if you want, single amps, it doesn't matter. You know, you've got that USB not just for programming, but you can, you know, port your stuff into GarageBand or Cubase, whatever, okay? So you can use it as an interface, which is really good too. So this way you can play at lower volumes. You don't necessarily have to have a bedroom amp. You can just put it all through your computer speakers if you wanted to. Or go through your amps and rock down the house. Nothing wrong with that either, you know what I mean? Size-wise, it's actually pretty comparable to the Boss ME80. It's not much different in size. I'm going to try and see if I can do a side-by-side comparison video with the 2 of these for you guys too. Just got to make sure I have the time to do it. But I got to tell you, for what this thing can do, I mean, you don't need pedals anymore. You really don't. With this thing, who needs pedals? You program, you've got all your pedals and then some. I mean, let's say you got 20 or 30 pedals in your collection. Well, you've just barely touched the tip of the iceberg. This thing's got a boatload of different effects and lots of them. And you can organize them in any way you want, which is nice too. So if you want to go, say, guitar, and then, you know, as your main input, and then instead of having guitar to the amp and then your effects after, you can go guitar, and then let's put in a defretter, and then we'll go to the amp, and then we'll go to a distortion. But then on the menu, way across the right, oh, there's the FX, you know, that's the closest to me. Well, I want to move it over in the chain. You can do that. And it's like, wow. Like, this is like, basically, it's, to a lot of people, this would be their dream pedal board. You know, it'd be like the answer to everything. And to be honest, for me, and you know, for what I do, like playing in church, and when I do videos up for you guys here at this house in the studio, I love the idea of being able to have, you know, just push one button instead of a bunch of them, right? Like the ME80, I'm pushing a bunch, but the ME80, I'm also not able to combine certain patches together because they're on the same foot switch, right? So I can only run one patch or one effect, right? And it's like this, I can just program, I want like 8 different effects, all like this, organized like this to get this tone, and I push one button. That's it. And it's like, done. And like I said, it's so easy to program. I'm going to do a programming video for you guys on this thing so you get the idea on how to program it. And it is so easy to do it off of your computer as opposed to an iOS or Android device. However, the advantage of the iOS or Android, where you'll find the advantage is, let's say you need to change something up because you are actually out on a gig, and even though your board's been pre-programmed and everything for everything you need to do, there's something because of the venue that the sound is just not right, and you need to tweak it beyond what you can do in here. Now, there's ways to manually do this, but it's a lot easier with an app, okay? So you can use the app to do that little change that you need to, and maybe dial back the gain a bit, or maybe you got to add a little bit of gain into a specific pedal, okay? Not overall, but a specific pedal that's in your patch, right? Now, like I said, you could do it manually, or you could take the easier route and use your iOS or Android device. So there is an advantage to having that app, even though a few channels have said, you know, that app is kind of really, you know, nothing beats the computer, which is true, but you're not going to be having your computer up on stage with you, are you? No. So there's other alternatives for you. And Boss made this so flexible for anybody. It's crazy. So I just definitely congratulate Boss on this one because this thing is just a phenomenal little piece of gear. And I've looked at a lot of pedal boards, don't get me wrong, and I've looked into Line 6s, I've looked into, you know, Digitex and all that, and they have nothing on this board. Nothing. This thing, I would say currently, this would be the top guitar processing board on the market. But like I said, not necessarily for a beginner guitar player, but if you're an intermediate or an advanced player, pro player, definitely, no problems there. Beginners, they need to start out somewhere, of course, with some effects. We have Katana amps, we have, you know, ME80s, we have, you know, your Line 6 boards if you're into those, etc., that are, you know, a lot less complex. But I still wouldn't recommend a beginner guitar player to have any effects other than what's built into their amp at the time, just because they're a beginner player. We still got to make sure you can play, right? So anyways, enough said. Now the question is this thing really worth $1,300? Well, considering everything this thing can do, and the sound quality I find is really good. And it's going to vary from amp to amp too, because keep in mind too, not all guitar amps are going to be friendly with pedals or pedal processing boards. And that's where I hear some of the complaints coming from on other channels was, you know, the sound is, you know. Well, you know what? Maybe it's just your amp, you know? And I mean, I've gone through, if anybody watches my channel, and I've gone through gear way before I even hit YouTube, okay? I mean, what I've gone through on my channel is nothing compared to what I've gone through for gear over the years. And let me tell you, the having the amp and speaker combination you need, it's hard because you're after a certain sound that you need to hear in a tone or your style, and that means weeding through a lot of gear at times unless you find the perfect stuff right away. You know, because we all have different tastes regardless. And right now I'm quite content with my Katana 100 and my Hughes and Kettner 2 Meister 18 that has my Marshall 4x12 cab on it. And this all mixes well with any of these pedal boards. Like, I've got the GT-1000 here, and I do have the ME80, and it works fine even on the Katana, and I don't even need either one of these on the Katana, to be honest, but because in the church I plug into the sound system, so I don't even have to bring an amp with me, which is great. Which is another advantage too, because you can go into a sound system with this. You don't even have to have an amp. You just go right into the main PA, have it fed through to the stage monitors. Who needs to carry amps with them anymore? Just carry your pedal board. Works so much better and so much lighter than carrying dozens of pedals. So for a compact package, everything you get, sound quality is definitely way up there. Features, of course, on the back panel, which is just nuts. The stuff you can do to this thing and plug in so many extras, it's just crazy. I honestly have to say that for $1,300 Canadian, I do believe that it's worth it, you know. I think that it's a great buy. I mean, the ME80 is a lot more basic, all right? So it's kind of like, it's worth what they ask for it, you know. But this thing is definitely worth the $1,300. I mean, this is like the answer to even my issues that I can't get around on the ME80, right? So this is going to give me exactly what I want. I've got X amount of songs to do anyways every time I'm playing, and I can just use the first 5, and then if I have more songs to do, I switch to my next bank, and I pre-program everything. Because the advantage too is when I'm at church playing, we have a practice. We go through a bunch of songs, and then that's where we kind of work out and tweak stuff for figuring out effects and whatnot for each song. And some songs don't get any effect other than just an acoustic guitar effect. You know, so some songs you just can't mess with. But by the time the final list is done of, oh, this is exactly what we're playing, these are the keys we're playing them in, etc., etc., I already have pre-marked in my book, okay, I need this effect, and this effect for these songs, and I can program the board ahead of time. And I can go in and change the programming anytime I want. So I can preset up in advance before Sunday hits, and I've got everything in the order that we're going to play the songs in already there. And I just go boom, 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 boom per each switch, which is great. And if I need to switch to an alternate bank, maybe we have extras to play, I have the extras pre-programmed just in case. So that really makes a huge difference. So as far as the whole memory game goes, you can either write stuff down, because if you're gigging, you might switch up your order, you know, which could actually mess up your guitar player. So do try to stay to your setup. But you know, as long as you write it down, you're fine. You can just boom, boom, you know. But anyways, that's where I'm at with it. For you guys who enjoy your star ratings, you know, out of 5 stars or whatever, man, I'm gonna really put this at 4.5 out of 5. Nothing's perfect in life, but it's also, the other thing is, this is not for beginner guitar players. This is for when you have advanced to the intermediate level and above, okay? So if you're a beginner guitar player watching this and this board made you really hungry for effects, it's not for you guys, okay? But hey, if you want to get it anyways, that's entirely up to you. But I'm just saying it's not a recommended machine for the beginner guitar players, and it really isn't. And a lot of other people have said the same thing. It's not for the beginners. This is more for the intermediate and pro guys. So anyways, there you go. There you've got it. Hope the sound quality came out great for you guys too. This is just a free run sound right into the stereo mics on my camera. It gives you the truest reproduction of the audio based on my setup. Okay, now my setup, like I said, it's my Hughes and Kettner Tubemeister 18 amp with my Marshall 4x12 cab. And if you want to know what my amp settings are on my Kettner, on the clean channel, my master is in the middle at 12 o'clock and my gain is at about 9:30 on the clean. And that's where my amp settings are. And I'm in a room that's about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 feet by 10 feet. So 10 by 11 room. That's the kind of sound I get in here. Okay, and even with the same amp, my sound would change if I brought everything out to the other room or whatever. Okay, things change. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching and for being patient. I hope you enjoyed the demo and the review. Thank you again for Long McQuaid for lending me this thing to try out for myself. I have a feeling I have to tell my wife that I'm going to have to buy this thing. So, you know, it's one of those things, guys, right? Girls that are guitar players understand the gear acquisition syndrome too if they're as addicted as we are. But this thing, seriously, it's not about being a fancy toy for me. It's about the fact that this thing can do everything that I will ever need to do. I will never personally myself need to buy another processor board, you know. This thing will do it all. Like, for me, it'll do it all and everything, and I love all the features, all the extra effects beyond what even my Katana amp gives me, and the ease of access too. You know, like even the Katana amps, they got foot switches, great. You know, you can, you know, remember stuff and whatnot. This is even way better. Like, this is just, and all you need to do is bring the board to your gig. If you've got a PA system at your gig, you know, or you're bringing your own PA, why bring your amp? You don't need to anyways, right? You do need a stage monitor, obviously, but, you know, you just can carry this whole processor. Away you go, right? So, that's pretty exciting. But anyways, stay tuned for the video on showing how to program this. Also stay tuned for the ME80 versus this, which is completely unfair to the ME80, but it's to show you differences is what it is, okay? And there you go. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.